And we are recording today's webinar, so you can visit and review after today's session is over. There's also a short survey at the end of the webinar. We would greatly appreciate your feedback if you have the time. So why are we here today? We are here to celebrate you and this year's Green Lease Leaders winners. Yeah. So here's a quick agenda for how we'll spend our time together. We'll just go over some quick introductions, acknowledgements, program overview. We'll announce the winners and talk about trends that we're seeing from this year's data. We'll go over next steps, have some space for Q&A, and also some space to learn about how you're sharing your win. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Diana Lee. I run the Green Lease Leaders program here at IMT. I am the Director of Business Engagement. So if you've ever had a question about Green Lease Leaders, been to a GLL webinar or one of our other events, chances are we have chatted. And then I'll let Marla introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Marla Tallheimer, Senior Director of the Business Engagement Team here at IMT. Thank you so much for joining us today on the webinar, and congratulations to all the winners. We're super excited and just appreciate all the hard work done out there, and appreciate Diana and the team and all the hard work done on this year's application cycle, which was a huge success. So Diana, back to you.
Thanks, Marla. Also part of the team is Sam Ferreira, our communications associate, who created the snazzy social media toolkit for y'all's use. On the line from the IMT team, we also have Tara Brown, IMT's Chief of Staff, running the tech for our webinar today. Thank you so much, Tara. And then we also have Alex Dews, IMT CEO, who will be announcing our winners in just a few minutes. So I wanted to start off with some thank yous. A big thank you and shout out to our advisory committee. So this year, Green Lease Leaders started our advisory committee to get more consistent input from various parts of our industry and to make sure that the Green Lease Leaders program remains valuable. I mean, we've been here since 2014, so things have changed over time. The Green Lease Leaders Advisory Committee is meant to be a sounding board to help us stay in touch with the market, provide input on the direction of the Green Lease Leaders program, and make sure that we're continuing to evolve and grow as a valuable program. So our committee members are experts from across the real estate law and sustainability fields to provide expertise and facilitate the long-term growth of the Green Lease Leaders program. So this year's members are Chris Pike, Chief Innovation Officer at GRESB, Emily McLaughlin, VP of Sustainability at Federal Realty, Karen Sarkoppel, Principal of SCI, Lauren Burst-Moss, Senior VP of Sustainability at Vornado, and Nicole Denamer, Founding Attorney of Climate Aligned Law. Thank you so much for each of our members and their contributions to Green Lease Leaders. And please join me in a quick emoji clap for our advisory committee. I would also like to recognize Green Lease Leaders supporting partners. Our supporting partners make Green Lease Leaders possible through their partnership and promotion of our program and through their green leasing leadership and expertise. These organizations include leading commercial real estate consulting firms, sustainability experts, industry orgs, and service providers. And with our champion, teammate, and friends financial contributions, we're going to be able to continue growing the Green Lease Leaders program and creating and updating resources to keep our industry moving forward. So just as an example, in partnership with Retech Advisors, we created and updated the Green Lease Guide and Language Examples resource earlier this year. And this is just one example of the kind of work we do with our supporting partners. So thank you so much for each of our supporting partners. And again, please join me in celebrating and appreciating their support. And also thank you, Marla, for sharing the updated resource in the chat. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. So just as quick context before we announce the winners, I know that there are some folks on the line who are new to the program and perhaps you're just learning about Green Lease Leaders for the first time. So I wanted to give an overview of our history. So Green Lease Leaders was formed in 2014 by IMT and the Department of Energy's Better Buildings Initiative. And our purpose is to support the use of green leases and help reduce carbon emissions and reduce risk from our buildings. So we do this through setting the standard for green leasing best practices and providing support to the industry. So as an example, we provide lots of technical resources on our Green Lease Leaders website. We speak at conferences, hold webinars, and we also provide customized support through our green leasing consulting calls. Oops, excuse me. Gotta love technology. Um, Yes, but however, we're here today because we are most well known for our Green Lease Leaders Recognition Program. And through our program, we recognize companies who meet the green leasing best practices that we've set. And this recognition can be earned by landlords, tenants, brokers, attorneys, real estate teams. We also grow over time. I mentioned that we were formed back in 2014, but the program of 2026 is different from the program of 2014. We've continued to evolve and grow as the commercial real estate industry evolves and grows, and as green leasing best practices evolve as well. So some of the benefits to our program is that Green Lease Leaders really serves as a complement to any sustainability program. Having Green Lease Leaders recognition demonstrates that your company follows industry best practices. We're also aligned with other sustainability certifications and reporting requirements. For example, Green Lease Leaders earns points in the LEED Core and Shell certification. We're also accepted as supporting documentation for GRES TC's question TC4, which is about leasing practices. And having Green Lease Leaders designation demonstrates to potential landlords and tenants that you're willing to collaborate with them for efficient operations at the property, which ultimately saves everyone money and reduces risk to the building. We have several recognition levels from silver to gold to platinum, which is our highest level of recognition, and it provides a pathway for continued improvement of your green leasing practices. So now I'll turn it over to Alex Dews, IMT CEO, to announce our 2026 winners.
Thanks so much, Diana. Very happy to join all of you this afternoon on this occasion. My name's Alex. I am the CEO here at IMT, where we do a lot of different work focused on designing, adopting, and implementing these and programs that drive a better built environment. And this program really hits all three of those categories really nicely, with an emphasis on implementation specifically. We really are grateful for the partnerships that we have with all of you to be able to focus on implementing these solutions, which are really a critical part of moving the real estate sector forward on efficient operations. And this year, we are again very excited to be honoring the 2026 Green Lease Leader awardees. This year's leaders exemplify best practices in green leasing and are utilizing the lease to reduce risk to buildings and portfolios while helping them to meet their sustainability and energy efficiency goals. This year, we have 55 companies managing more than 2.4 billion square feet who have earned Green Lease Leaders recognition. On our next slide here, we have the listing of our silver Green Lease Leaders. And because there are so many, I'm not going to read all of them, but a few notes here. 15 silver winners demonstrating the incorporation of green lease clauses into the standard lease form so that green lease clauses are part of the language going in of any lease transaction. This is just now part of how they do business, and 9 of these 15 are new to Green Lease Leaders. For example, Fairpoint, Tanger, and Vici, as well as State Street, are new this year. And these companies are setting a strong foundation for their green leasing practices. So if you're here today representing one of those companies, please raise your virtual hand so we can see who you are. And let's all please take a moment to celebrate all of these winners by using our emojis to acknowledge the success of all of these organizations and their participation in the program. Congratulations. Okay, next we're moving on to gold green lease leaders. And we have 30 gold winners who have incorporated green lease clauses into standard leasing practice and have evidence of implementation of robust green lease leases. So the majority of the gold winners are returning, which shows continued commitment to executing green leases. And I especially want to highlight a couple of long-time commitments to green leasing and the Green Lease Leaders program. Brixmor has been a green lease leader since 2018, and Principal Real Estate has been a leader since 2017. Our team transaction winners this year, BMO and SCI, are both new to green lease leaders. And again, if you're here representing one of these companies, please do raise your virtual hand so we can see you. And again, please join me in celebrating these winners um, together. Okay, and finally, let's recognize this year's Platinum Green Lease leaders. We have 10 Platinum Green Lease leaders this year, including 4 landlords, 3 tenants, and a Canadian team transaction between 3 companies. This is the Green Lease leaders' highest level of recognition, and these companies demonstrate executed green leases, tracking of sustainability measures, and they really go above and beyond with their leasing practices by incorporating building level performance targets, climate resilience, and social goals. Green Industrial REIT, Empire State Realty, IBM, and SL Green are returning Platinum Green Lease leaders. And I also wanted to highlight Empire State Realty is our longest time Platinum winner. They've achieved Platinum recognition consistently since the introduction of the Platinum tier back in 2022. So congratulations. Um, Also want to acknowledge British Land, Freshfields, Galvanized Real Estate, Gilead Sciences, Royal London Asset Management, and Weaver, who are all first-time green lease leaders. So once again, if you're here today representing one of those companies, go ahead and raise your hand so we can see who you are. And please join me once more in recognizing all of our 2026 green lease leaders. And with that, I'm happy to pass it back to Diana.
Thank you so much, Alex, and congratulations again to all 2026 Green Lease leaders. It takes a lot of work to implement green leasing, to get it started, and to keep the needle moving forward. So congratulations again on your achievement this year. So now that we know who all of this year's winners are, what does this cycle tell us about the current trends and the future of green leasing? So let's start with digging into this year's data. So over half of this year's winners are gold, about 27% are silver, and 18% are platinum. And this breakdown is pretty similar to previous years, with most green lease leaders in a given year earning gold recognition. About 20% of this year's winners increase their recognition, which is also on par with historical data, as about 23% of all orgs who earn green lease leaders improve their recognition over time, so going from silver to gold, gold to platinum. Over 29% of our 2026 winners are international or outside of the US. There's really a strong presence of companies representing North America. So most of our winners are still US based, but we are seeing more and more activity from companies in Canada and in Mexico. This year, 33% of winners are also first-time green lease leaders, with most earning silver recognition. And this is also a very similar trend based on previous years, as most who are new to green lease leaders start off with the silver recognition level. So on the screen, I also have a chart comparing the credits utilized by landlords and tenants. And I do want to note that the credit numbers are a little bit different between the landlord applications and the tenant applications. So that's why you see the different credit numbers on the chart. So based on this, what clauses are the most valuable to this year's applicants? So energy and water tracking really come to the top. So credit one is energy tracking for both landlords and tenants. And every single application this year earned the energy tracking credit. Water tracking, which is credit two for landlords and tenants, is also coming in pretty close with 95% and 85% of landlords and tenants respectively earning this credit. So what does that mean? Data tracking is table stakes, and landlords and tenants both agree that this is important and this is implementable language for your lease. And then in comparing the landlord and tenant applications, we're also seeing that for tenants, credit 11, which 85% of tenant applications earned this year, is rising to the top. So that credit is about climate resilience and building resilience. So this could be an area of opportunity for both landlords and tenants to collaborate more about through the lease. And overall, what all of these trends, these numbers, I just threw a lot of metrics at y'all. It tells us that green leasing is continuing to grow. More and more companies are seeing the value of green leasing, implementing green leases, and improving on their green leasing actions over time. This year, Green Lease Leaders also introduced a new credit called the Innovation Credit. So this was credit 16 for landlords and credit 12 for tenants. So this credit was meant to highlight leasing work that falls outside of the existing prerequisites and credits that we have outlined in the landlord reference guide and tenant reference guide. So this year, 3 landlords earned this credit. One landlord incorporated language about native landscaping and other landscaping techniques that preserve biodiversity into their lease clauses. And then 2 incorporated language about BPS responsibility and penalty allocation into their standard leases and executed leases. So all of these landlords earned gold or platinum level recognition. So this means that this innovative language was incorporated into standard lease forms and successfully executed within the past year. And in particular, with the language about building performance standards and penalty allocation to tenants, this is particularly of note because those deadlines are here or coming within the next couple of years. So this is also showing us that the lease can be another tool for compliance, and landlords are using them as a tool now. And then just taking a quick step back. We've been around since 2014. So what does the history of Green Lease Leaders tell us? So since 2014, over 250 organizations have earned Green Lease Leaders recognition, and the program has continued to grow over time in both the number of organizations and the cumulative square footage covered. So all of you, the 2026 cohort of Green Lease Leaders, you're part of a larger story about green leasing and its use. Green leasing is still going strong and is valuable for reducing risk and strengthening landlord-tenant collaboration for win-win outcomes, and we're still seeing this momentum. So winners, what do you do now? The embargo is lifted. You can publicly announce your Green Lease Leaders recognition. So we sent out a social media toolkit on May 11th to all of the contacts listed in the application, as well as your comms contact listed in the application. And while you're not required to use these materials, they're really meant to help you in promoting your achievement. So this toolkit includes materials for your use, such as a press release template, graphics that you can use for like a LinkedIn post or a newsletter, and also some drafted promotional language for your use. And again, these are templates, so please feel free to edit and so that it fits your own organization's messaging. If you're using these materials, please make a copy of the templates first so that you can then create your own press release and social media posts in your own files. And if you have any questions about this toolkit, or if you'd like another link to this toolkit, please reach out to myself or to Sam and we can help you out. So beyond the announcement, don't forget to maximize your Green Lease Leaders recognition. You can include your achievement in your organization's reports, investor requests. You can share this designation to prospective landlords or tenants to show that you're willing to collaborate. You can also incorporate Green Lease Leaders into your building certification and reporting efforts. So I mentioned earlier, lead that we are aligned with Lead Core and Shell. So in Lead Core and Shell, there is a specific green lease credit. And if you have green lease leaders uh, certification, you can use that to automatically earn points towards this credit. And then additionally, the BREEAM in use has a green lease strategy, which has overlap with green lease leaders requirements. For Green Globes and Fitwel, green lease leaders can be used as part of your supporting documentation to earn these certifications. And then for GRES reporting, which I know many of y'all are in the midst of GRES reporting right now, question TC4, indicator TC4 is specifically about leasing practices. So again, you can use your green lease leaders recognition as part of the supporting documentation. So your award is valid for 3 years. This means that this award is valid until 2029. You're welcome to reapply earlier, but you must reapply by 2029 in order to have continuous Green Lease Leaders recognition. And before we get to the Q&A, I wanted to share a couple of programs that might be of interest to y'all. So IMT is celebrating our 30th anniversary. Throughout the year, we will be celebrating our 30-year history and the partnerships that have made the work we do possible. So this year, we launched a new fellowship in honor of our late founding member, David Goldstein. We will also host celebratory events this fall in New York City around the same time as Green Builder New York City Climate Week, and I hope you will join us. So please go to our website if you'd like to learn more about these activities. And then additionally, I did want to share that Green Lease Leaders does offer 1-hour consulting calls, and these calls are meant to provide very specific green leasing support, whether maybe you're not a green lease leader now and you're just starting out with green leasing, or you're looking to enhance your current green leasing practices, or perhaps you want something specific like a training for your brokers and other team members. So all of those activities we can talk about those and use the call to help support you in this green leasing consulting call. So if you're interested, please sign up at the Green Lease Leaders website or reach out directly to me. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. So Marla, are we seeing any questions in the chat?
The chat has been pretty quiet, so no questions have come up. So I think we can just open it up briefly to see if anyone out there, you can still, we'll just give it a couple of minutes. You can either type it in the chat or you can even come off of mute and ask a question. Should I be singing the Jeopardy music while we're waiting? Maybe not. Anything? Anybody? Any questions for Diana?
I mean, I can take that as we were extremely clear in our
That's right.
in our webinar.
That's right. Well, it's all good stuff, and just really, again, proud of all of the winners, and the expansion of, I mean, the fact that we're able to expand even outside of the U.S. and continue to grow with this program. It's just very exciting, and it's great, especially in a time when things aren't always easy. So, just sincere congratulations to all of the winners out there and the consultants that help the winners, because I know there's some of you on this line as well. So thank you so much for the support and the hard work in getting this done. It's an honor.
Yes, absolutely. And since there aren't any questions, I'll move it on to a slightly different tack. I want to give you back some space. So does anyone want to share more about how you're going to celebrate your Green Lease Leaders Award or achievement, or how are you going to share the news? So feel free to come off of mute to share or type your response in the chat. I was hoping to see someone type in the chat that you would be using the social media toolkit for promoting. Okay, we got a quiet group today. Well, that is all right. Then in that case, thank you everybody for joining our webinar. And again, congratulations to all of the winners today. Let's give one more round of virtual applause for all of our winners and to celebrate your hard work. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, there's a quick survey at the end when you exit out of the webinar. We'd greatly appreciate any feedback you have to offer. This recording will also be posted on the Greenlease Leaders website later this week. So if you have any questions about Greenlease Leaders, you're always welcome to reach out to myself directly or email us at greenleaseleaders@imt.org. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day, everybody.